Hey guys, just a real quick introduction to the video you're about to see. This is a video on California Governor Gavin Newsom. He's being recalled. Yes, you're going to hear people that are actually recalling him. You're going to hear statistics of why he's getting recalled. And then you're going to hear Newsom and these tactics that they use all the time. But they're using these ideas and things to control us. And here's a perfect example. He's going to blame this recall on Trump and racist people. He thinks that's why 5 million people have left and 81,000 jobs have moved because of this.
Who's behind the partisan recall of Governor Gavin Newsom? Anti-vaccine QAnon extremists, violent white supremacists like the Proud Boys who attacked our nation's capital on January 6th.
California in crisis. We got a phony who is running the show. People that you meet as you're walking in California are disgusted by what they find. Governor Gavin Newsom making laws that he makes you follow while he breaks them cause he thinks you are blind. Hey there, gruesome Newsom, you caused another business to fall. Things are getting too shady. I think it's time to sign up for a recall.
California has become a safe haven for criminals. Violence is skyrocketing, and criminals are well aware that they can commit crimes with little to no consequence. It is not uncommon for suspects to be released from custody on the same day of their arrest and sometimes back on the streets before officers have even completed their reports. This rise in crime and the escalating threat to California residents is a direct result of the failed policies put in place by Gavin Newsom.
So, as many of you know, I was involved in the recall of Gray Davis. I think that Newsom has done far more atrocities to the state of California than Gray Davis did. And he's arrogant because he never thought for a million years that Nancy Pelosi would ever allow him to be recalled. Well, unfortunately, she doesn't have all the juice that she thinks she has in the Black community. This man has been very disrespectful to the Black community, where poor men and women have lost their businesses, their restaurants, their livelihood, due to him not making the decision.
More than 2 million signatures have been gathered in an effort to oust California Governor Democrat Gavin Newsom. Now, Newsom has repeatedly stated that his recall is driven by the followers of former President Trump and Republicans.
And there's a reason why. Look, with Trump out of the picture, not on Twitter, they need something to pump up their Republican base and their donors, get them excited. And Gavin Newsom, a rising star in the Democratic Party, has a target on his back.
What do you make of this recall and whether or not it has a shot? Because I think a lot of people would be kind of terrified of the idea of a nation state like California being run by people like this, What
do you want to tell the governor about the kind of pain that you're in?
Yeah, it's been very hard. You're going to make me emotional, but, we're talking about starting a family and buying a house, and those are all things that are having to wait because of this.
Because I think a lot of people would be kind of terrified of the idea of a nation state like California being run by people like this.
This is not a Republican effort. This is a movement by all people here in California. About 38% of the people who have signed this petition thus far are not Republicans, they're Democrats.
We're anticipating that they've got the signatures. And I just think it's important people know who they are.
I voted for Gavin Newsom.
Andrea Hedstrom. She says she's a lifelong Democrat who so admired Newsom that she named her son Gavin.
Do you blame the governor for the condition that the state is in?
I do at this point. Newsom is the one that's running California right now with an iron fist.
I don't want to leave California.
Yeah.
I love California. But the government is forcing businesses out.
It seems like Gavin's out of touch with the common people.
It's been called the anti-California dream, the tech exodus, the Great Migration.
Between 2008 and 2019, 18,000 companies have left California for more tax and regulatory friendly states.
Dom, we're talking about Elon Musk moving from California to Texas.
Oracle saying they are changing their corporate headquarters from Redwood Shores, California to Austin, Texas.
From his policies on homelessness, poverty, and unemployment to criminal justice reform, a group of Californians who want to recall Governor Gavin Newsom say there are a lot of reasons to kick him out, but the way he handled the pandemic was the straw that broke the camel's back. But supporters of the recall argue that Newsom recently became very unpopular with people who used to support him because of long-running school and business closures, unemployment benefit scams, and his decision to attend a birthday party at a very expensive restaurant during the pandemic while telling people to stay home.
Restaurants were open in the state. I wasn't suggesting people should not eat. We're anticipating that they've got the signatures. And I just think it's important people know who they are. I mean, the chief proponent of this recall effort, the chief proponent. Well, the chief proponent of this, and forgive me, this is just objective truth. The chief proponent, that's not just, that's factual. Just the lead proponents. The lead proponent of this, the lead proponent of this recall effort, by the way, that's the chief proponent of this recall effort. Well, the chief proponent of this, and forgive me, this is just objective truth. The chief proponent of this recall petition supports putting microchips into migrants. I mean, let me be just more candid and more direct. The principal sponsor of this recall effort wants to put microchips in immigrant aliens. We should microchip immigrants. Microchip immigrants. That's the chief proponent of this recall effort. You look at the original sponsors of it. You have someone who's a member, proud member of the 3%.
This is a great opportunity for me to take the time to show you this tactic that Democrats always use to fool us, the American people. They always prey on our emotions. If they can get us emotionally angry, we won't even think about it. We're just going to get angry and lash out at those people, those evil, evil people. But let's look at it logically. What's going on here? Why is he making this and drilling this home and saying it on every news station over and over that the lead proponent wants to microchip immigrants? Let's just say the lead proponent wants to blow up synagogues. He wrote it in a book 5 years ago. He wants to blow up synagogues. Does that somehow mean that the over 2 million people that signed this recall all want to blow up synagogues? Of course not. Even if that were true. But guess what? I looked it up. I can't find the post. You've got a fact checker has the audacity to say it's true, but not give you a source, not show you the post, not tell you why they think it's true. They just put it's true. They put a little link to another page where they said the same thing they said. It's just true. No links. You can't find out, whatever. It's just got to be true. The guy doesn't deny it. He was in a conversation with people. There's a lot of senators and a lot of people that have brought this up because a lot of the illegal immigrants that come in, they process them really fast through there and they say, you got to come back to court, and they never come back. So people have thought up the idea. I think it's disgusting. They thought up the idea that they could microchip them. The guy wasn't even saying that. He doesn't even want, he's against that. But he was in a conversation about it, and they're trying to say that he wants to do that to somehow say that everyone wants to do that. It has nothing to do with that. As you hear from these people, you'll see what it has to do with. Don't get played by these Democrats. It's race. It's race. Oh no, orange man bad. Look at the guy. He's got the red hat on. That means he's racist. Get in his face.
He's above the law.
A new poll by the Berkeley Institute of Governmental Studies shows 46% of Californians approve of Newsom's job performance, 48% disapprove. That's a drop from September when 64% approved. Music to the ears of those trying to recall Newsom.
They're part of the 3%ers. It's the people that are behind this are members of the 3%ers.
And Kyung Law reports it's not just Republicans who say the governor has gone too far.
An alt-right militia group. Others that are devout conspiracy theorists that believe in QAnon. Another that literally supports the insurrection, supported it on January 6th. That's the group. Look at the petition. Look at the actual reasons they themselves listed.
Anger over his handling of the pandemic is fueling the movement, which is supported by many small business owners like Angela Marsden.
I'm losing everything.
She recorded this video and it went viral.
And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio.
Strict state and county health rules had shut down outdoor dining at her LA restaurant again.
We have politicians picking and choosing who's essential, who is important enough to be able to work and feed their family, and who isn't.
Look at the petition. Look at the actual reasons they themselves listed. It has to do with immigration, the browning of California. It has to do deeply with our values, the things we hold dear. And so I'm not just fighting for me, I'm fighting for you, I'm fighting for the values of this state. And there's a lot at stake because in these elections, who knows what can happen?
They seem to try to deflect the blame onto others.
I reached my final straw when I lost my job for the third time in November.
It has to do deeply with our values, the things we hold dear. And so I'm not just fighting for me, I'm fighting for you, I'm fighting for the values of this state.
Gavin Newsom has failed California. His response to the COVID-19 crisis has caused thousands of people to lose their jobs, homes, and businesses. He exploited millions of dollars from the Paycheck Protection Program. He destroyed the city of San Francisco and is now releasing thousands of criminals without any regard to public safety. How much more can California tolerate?
I'm fighting for you. And there's a lot at stake. I'm fighting for you. Look at the actual reasons they themselves listed.
They seem to try to deflect the blame onto others.
Seems like Gavin's out of touch with the common people here in the state, and he thinks he's above the law.
With an iron fist.
They seem to try to deflect the blame onto others.
With an iron fist. About the kind of pain that you're in. Oh gosh. With an iron fist.
They seem to try to deflect the blame onto others.
About the kind of pain that you're in. Oh gosh.
Seems like Gavin's out of touch with the common people here in the state, and he thinks he's above the law.
California has to realize that eventually all of the anti-business laws and regulations they pass, we're going to catch up with them.
Erica Douglas was an early part of the exodus. She moved her SEO software company, Whoosh Traffic, and her employees to Austin 6 years ago.
I can remember writing one check to the state of California for 1 year, and it was like $24,000 for a year, and that was just income tax to the state. That was not federal tax.
Just go onto the website, the recallgavin2020.com website, and you can find where there's permanent signing locations, or if you just happen to see a booth like this, just stop by and sign.
He has crippled this economy. We have thousands of small family businesses that are gone. They're closed. If you take it further out, the garbage on our freeways, the homeless crisis is completely out of control. This alone, he can't do anything with it. He couldn't even issue COVID relief payments to people. It goes on, and it's just out of control.
Look at the petition.
He needs to be replaced. Hey, I'm an American, and why I gotta be shut down? Nothing can shut America down. I love America.
Californians. The term nonviolent offender is a phrase people like Gavin Newsom and new LA District Attorney George Gascon like to use often. They want you to believe these individuals do not pose a risk to the safety of the public, but those of us in law enforcement know this is a flat-out lie. In the summer of 2009, a young woman was kidnapped in my division. The suspect in this case had a lengthy arrest record, but would be considered a nonviolent offender by Gavin Newsom standards. Despite numerous arrests and parole violations, the suspect was granted parole once more and released back into society. Not long after his release, this nonviolent offender kidnapped a 17-year-old girl, took her to the Skid Row area of downtown Los Angeles, beat her violently, then cut her throat with a broken glass bottle. I don't like having to share the details of this young woman's murder, but I do so because the gravity of the situation must not be taken lightly. Although these two incidents occurred 45 miles west of here, I must remind you all, criminals and the violence they inflict do not stop at county lines.
Stand up. You know, you see those pictures of Gavin Newsom dining at the French Laundry. It's frustrating, not even, you know, if you live in another state, for example, but it also demonstrates the hypocrisy. And I always go back to that photograph of Nancy Pelosi getting her hair dyed in the salon without a mask on when she was urging that everybody else follow the rules. Why is it that some in the Democrat Party feel it's okay, we don't have to follow the rules ourselves, but we will go out there and we'll preach it, and even when they get caught, they seem to try to deflect the blame onto others?
The state's population and job growth have both slowed to a trickle. Census data shows more than 650,000 people left in 2019, after 7 years in a row where departures were on the rise. In fact, California has lost more people to other states than it's gained for much of the last 2 decades. Over 135,000 more people left California than moved here, the third largest net migration loss ever recorded.
I just want to go somewhere in the center of the country, somewhere it's easier to travel to both places, and somewhere where you have a little bit more freedom.
And then there's all the other non-pandemic related regulations that come with living in a blue state. Democrats hold a veto-proof supermajority in both houses of the California state legislature. What some call progressive policies, others see as unfriendly to business. CNBC measures states on more than 60 different metrics in 10 key categories of competitiveness. In 2019, Virginia, Texas, and North Carolina took the top 3 spots. California came in 32nd and came in last when judged on the cost of doing business. When it comes to tax structure for business, the Tax Foundation ranks California at the very bottom also, with only New Jersey ranked lower. While tax rates increase based on how much you make, California's top marginal income tax rate of 13.3% is far higher than any other state. New York's, for example, is 8.8%.
This is a personal income tax form in California. I never want to see one of these in the great state of Texas.
Having a little bit more space and, land, and it just feels right.
Realtor Scott Shepard relocated his family from Riverside, California to northern Idaho in 2019.
All of our major line items across the board are significantly lower at the rate of 30 to 40%. We've got $1.98 for a gallon of gas.
So again, changing laws is important, but we've got to change hearts and minds, our cultures, and our institutions. And that's the real work ahead of us.
One thing that we're seeing with society and culture in general, and one thing that sort of does support the idea of maintaining these sort of rigid disciplines, is that when things start to slide just a little, you lose like these little incremental steps. They slide, and people go, "Oh God, what's the big deal? What do you care?" And you're like, "I see where this is going. Like it's going down that way. This is not going to stop. It's sliding."
Only by making government live within its means and restricting its role in our personal lives can we unleash the spirit of individual enterprise so essential to prosperity and the preservation of freedom itself. We have to change what has been in existence since the Great Depression, and that is the philosophy of tax and tax, spend and spend, elect and elect.
Basically, the socialists in Sacramento are controlling the economy.
I think the 2020 race is setting itself up to be capitalism versus socialism. We're seeing the rise of socialist policies and proposals coming from the left in a big way. It's Medicare for all, or Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 70% tax rates on wealthy Americans, or you even have Elizabeth Warren wanting to tax your wealth.
Maria, it is a battle between capitalism and socialism, and the politicians are lining up as advocates of socialism, even if they don't admit it. The fact is, we have a war on capitalism that's going on, and we've got to be able to be advocates. Now, here in California, we have a huge problem because basically what the Democrats have done, they made it so that they can win any election. And so there's very little hope that somebody who opposes what's going on would be elected.
What do you mean they made it so that they could win every election? What do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, they're following a formula, a marketing of money plus gathering data and being able then to tie it to getting out the vote. And with this formula, basically they're using the most advanced marketing, and it's brilliant. And so they combine that, and the Republicans are acting as if it was 20 years ago.
Wow.
They're acting like it's today. But in California, we have ballot harvesting. 18 states have banned ballot harvesting. Even the ones who ban it, it goes on. And basically what happened, we lost 7...
Explain what ballot harvesting
Yes.
is. This is a really important point that you're making, so I
Maria,
want you to explain it for our audience.
It's not voter fraud, but it can lead to voter fraud. And basically what it is this. You can go to somebody's house, knock on the door, and get their ballot, help them fill out that ballot so they can vote the way that person wants. They take that ballot and they bring it to the voter registration office. People have been giving them 400, 500, 600 ballots. No check is who that person is that is delivering the ballots.
Yeah.
It's unknown.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
Oh, terrible.
And that's why in California during the midterm elections, you had a couple of candidates that they went to sleep at night thinking they won. 2 weeks later, they lost.
7 Republican congressmen.
Yeah.
They were ahead on Election Day, but because of this ballot harvesting, where people were able to go out 5 days after the election and bringing in ballots, the Republicans lost. That's going to happen in 2020.
Wow, this is a really important story.
Yes.
You know what, Craig? We'll keep following that. Thanks so much.
Okay, very good.
Come back soon.
Thank you.
Craig Huey joining us.
One thing that we're seeing with society and culture in general, and one thing that sort of does support the idea of maintaining these sort of rigid disciplines, is that when things start to slide just a little, you lose like these little incremental steps. They slide, and people go, "Oh God, what's the big deal? What do you care?" And you're like, "I see where this is going. Like it's going down that way. This is not going to stop. It's sliding."
Oh yeah.